Hey, this is Don from Padlock Technologies again with a different video this time. We're going to talk about ICE and we're going to talk about, at least I'm going to show you the configurations for IPSK. If you don't know what IPSK is, it's identity pre-shared key, basically. And I'm going to put a video up here about the theory, like a little card or something, because I did do a video on that. This video, we're going to go into the lab. I'm going to show you the WLC configurations. Now, I'm going to use the Era OS. You can do IPSK on a 9800 as well, or Catalyst 9800. So you can do that. And what we're going to go over is the configuration on the WLC side, and then you're going to see the ICE policy side as well. I'll probably show you the authorization profiles as well. But let's give you a quick rundown of what IPSK is. IPSK is a technique that you can use to have one SSID for all your IoT devices, printers, scanners, security cameras, stuff like that. And you use different PSKs under the same SSID. The benefit of that is you don't need to have multiple SSIDs because that's a problem in itself. And if one PSK gets compromised, it doesn't compromise the entire SSID. So again, you can have an SSID for printers, you can have an SSID for cameras, and you can have an SSID for scanners. Well, not an SSID, PSK for scanners. That's different from security cameras. That's different from printers, right? But it still falls under the same SSID. So that is the benefit of using a technique called IPSK. So let's get in the lab right now. I'll show you the WLC side, and then we'll get into the I side. All right. So here's our SSIDs here. Now, the one we're going to be focused on is PLT IOT. We have Corp, which is going to be doing certificate-based authentication. Backend is going to be authenticated and authorized through ICE. Then we have PLT guest. That's for my guest users. That's going to go through guest flow, strictly for wireless. Most people don't do guest on wired. Actually, it's not even recommended to do guest on wired, but this is for guest wireless access that will go to the WLC, and I'll probably do a little rundown on how to do that as well. And then we have IOT, which is where IPSK will have this technique applied to it. Now, IoT, Internet of Things, can be anything, right? So again, I like to use the example of printers, scanners, security cameras. They're all going to connect to PLT IoT, but they're going to be using different um, PSKs, right? And again, the security implications around this is, hey, if one device type gets, their PSK gets compromised, scanners and printers will still work, right? So from a configuration standpoint, we'll just go into the PLT SSID. We'll go into security here. Now, the main thing here is the setup down here, as you can see, is the PSK format. You could technically, and it's going to be a ASCII, right, for the format. You can put pretty much anything in here because nobody really cares about this part. You can put anything in there because what we're going to do is we're going to enable MAC filtering, and then we're going to have our AAA servers involved in on the back end to authenticate users, right? So here we go. Now remember, I'm still using the load balancers that I did in other examples. So I'm just going to be pointing it to whatever the load balancers are, which will go and load balance the radius session between the VIPs or between the PSN. Sorry. So we're going to go to the VIP and then load balance between the PSNs. And then we go to our advanced features. Everything is already auto set because they finally did something here in security. When you just select this apply ICE default settings, it will in the advanced put everything that needs to be there for you, including the profiling mechanisms and stuff like that. So that's already done. Now on the ICE side, here on the ICE side, we will go to the policy results first. And I'll just show you, like, I already have it in here somewhere. Let's go to authorization. Let's go to authorization profiles. And let me just open this up here. Now, I did get a question on this. That's why I'm actually showing you guys this. I didn't say that in the beginning of the video, but the reason why I'm even doing this video, because I got a question on it. So we scroll down to, here we go. So we have cameras, printers, and sync scanners. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up scanners. Now, the key to this is you're going to be sending an AV pair to the WLC, right? And the AV pair is going to be two. One's going to say what the mode is. Obviously, the mode is going to be ASCII. The other one's going to be what the pre-share key is. And as long as those two match, then they'll get authenticated and authorized based on this. So if we scroll down here, here's our AV pair that we're going to send. The PSK mode is as ASCII, exactly what it matched in the on the SSID configuration where you saw, the PSK format was ASCII. That's what the top one is. PSK mode equals ASCII. That matches that. And then the PSK is, I just put some whatever password in there as an example. And this is the password that you have to type in on the device. And this is a non-802.1x certificate based or username and password device. So again, like a printer or a scanner, something that just can't do 802.1x. So it's going to be using MAB. And you're going to have to put this password in, right? For you to properly get on the network. And if we go to let's use another example here. Scroll down to the bottom. Let's go to cameras. So let's say this was security cameras or something like that. And we go down to the bottom. As you can see, same with the PSK mode equals ASCII, but the password is different. Now, obviously, I would not recommend you using Cisco 12345, but this is just an example. So the scanners are using a totally different PSK than the cameras, but they're all authenticating to the one SSID, right? We're separating the actual PSKs that are allowed, but we're keeping the same SSID. I want to keep reiterating that because someone's going to ask, oh, why don't I just create multiple SSIDs? The point of this is to consolidate your SSIDs to one SSID and then have different passwords or PSKs per device type. Now, the other thing is, can you use profiling with this? That a lot of people have tried to do that, but it's more problems than not because you have a chicken before the egg, right? You need to get on the network for you to profile it, but you can't get on the network because you haven't authenticated yet, or you haven't even gone through the process yet. So doing this with profile devices, I kind of steer people away from that. It's more problems than not. You're going to have to use a static endpoint group to actually get this to function correctly, right? To avoid all the hassle, just use a static endpoint group for that. So now that you see the authorization, you saw how it was in the WLC, let's look at the policy set now. So the policy set is going to match the SSID, which I have in here. And here we go. So this one here, so this PLT IOT is what it's going to match. Obviously, the PLT allowed protocols and what protocols we're going to use. I could have technically clicked down. I think I didn't select MAB. So MAB is already in this, so we don't have to worry about that. So we'll go here. Obviously, we have wireless MAB. It's going to go to internal endpoints. And then we scroll down here. Now, we have printers, scanners, and then cameras. So it has to be a static, it has to be this static input. Oh, this is a logical profile technically. So I would have to match the logical endpoint and PLT scanners, and that's going to have an static endpoint group in there. But the real key to this is the authorization profile, right? So not only it has to be a printer, but if it is a printer based on this profile, it also has to match this SSI, this PSK of whatever I set the PSK in. And obviously all the PSKs are different. And this will make sure from a security standpoint, again, if something gets compromised on my cameras, I don't have to go and change a whole SSID and then go to all these other devices and now connect to the new SSID. All I have to do is say, okay, cameras has been compromised. Just change the SSID for cameras, and scanners and printers are going to keep working like they normally work. So that's really IPSK in a nutshell. I do recommend this technique only when I go into do assessments and I see, hey, you have 40 different, well, I mean, let me not over exaggerate and say 40. Let's say you have 12 SSIDs, one for each device type. I always say, hey, you can consolidate that down to one, use IPSK, and then you don't have to worry about, frequency issues with multiple SSIDs all over the place. Unless you have some regulatory reason why you need all those SSIDs, you kind of want to consolidate to one. IPSK is the technique you want to use. So this is Don from Padlock Technologies. I hope this video was informative. Don't forget to share, comment, like, and subscribe. If you want to put something like this in your environment or get network access control in your environment, there's going to be a link in the description below. Click that link. Let's do a discovery call. Let's talk about getting network access control in your environment via Cisco Identity Services. Or if you already have ICE in your environment and it's not functioning like you thought it would, the first thing you need to do is get your environment assessed, because I always say it's not the tech, it's usually the implementation. So before you throw ICE out the window, click the link below, start a discovery call. Let's get an assessment, make sure everything from an implementation standpoint was done correctly. And then, if not, we'll point out some issues here, see what we can fix, and then that should get your ICE environment functioning like you always thought it was. Again, this is Don for Padlock Technologies. Again, thank you and have a nice day.